Welcome back to the Lycra Conspiracy. My name is Nathan Craig, and together with Andrew Hudson, we're going to cut through one of the biggest lies in the self-improvement space. I just need to get motivated. Now, if motivation worked, we'd all be shredded, disciplined, and emotionally bulletproof. But we're not, because motivation is a myth, and when it comes to real lasting change. Now, in today's episode, it's called the Build the Habit, Not the Hype. And it's for anyone who's sick of the crash diet mentality, tired of starting over, and ready to build something sustainable. So let's get into it. But just before we do, though, if you're tired of starting over, stop relying on the hype, and you want to build a system that outlasts your feelings, grab the worksheet that's in the description of this video below. It's got everything you need to get started today, your blueprint, tracking grid, reframes, and more. And then tag us, share one of your habits, post in our Discord channel, and we'll shout you out in the next episode. All right, Andrew, I have to touch on the amazing job you've done of the wall behind you there. Just take me through it.
Well, it wouldn't be the Lycra conspiracy without some sort of Lycra in it. So I had some spare jerseys gathering dust in the wardrobe, and I thought, wow, what better way to use those rather than on the road than pinning them to a wall?
Absolutely, I love it, and I can see the numbers there too. So you've obviously been in quite a few rides.
Yeah, they're all rides, not races.
Yep.
But I guess that that could also be one of the reasons why I put that up there today is as a bit of a motivational type of thing. And you do see people's pain caves with the medals and things like that
Yep.
that people have from around those different events. And I think that's one of the things, unfortunately, here in South Australia,
Yep.
Bicycle SA, who run a lot of their events that are those ones up behind me, they're still around and still do events, but they don't run those events anymore.
Okay.
And so we had a bit of a motivation in terms of trying to collect a number over a series of years or things like that.
Yep.
They're no longer anymore. So they're done and dusted. So
what you're telling me is that they're collector's items.
Oh, mate, for sure. People would pay money for these now.
worth some coin.
Oh, for sure. 50 cents, I think, if I'm lucky.
Look, you never know. Put them on eBay, give it a fancy title. I think they'd go like hotcakes.
Yeah, I mean, and it also brings back some good memories. Like, you do these events as you would have done with some mates or whatever else.
Yep.
And so it's a reminder of that. And the jersey, yeah.
I absolutely agree with what you're saying there. And there's been lots of times that I've gone back and rewatched videos or looked at, my stats for a particular thing I've done. And, you sort of just, a bit of nostalgia. You go back and you sort of relive and you go, yeah, that was an awesome event, or it was great because of this, or something else happened because of that. And yeah, it's exactly like you're doing there. You get to relive all those achievements, and a lot of them are quite difficult. I mean, any kind of effort you put into anything is going to be hard, but certainly being able to re-experience it again with the tops and the numbers. I've got a few. I'm just looking around. I've got a few numbers littered around the place that I've got to put up somewhere, but I just don't have a location that I can put it. I'm gonna have to.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know whether it will stay like this or not. This is, it's a bit of a work in progress. So,
yep.
I did think about we talked about in the last episode about the Tour de France stuff that's on Zwift at the moment, and they got that climbing challenge thing where you do 4 of the portal climbs and you get the devil's outfit, the devil. And so while I was sitting on the bike churning out one of those the other day, I thought, what would look really cool? And that I've done this in our past podcast that we used to do, the having a mental blank now, in the drops. I did those 3D trophies types of things of the route.
Got them just sitting
and I thought, and I thought, maybe I could do that and have those sort of kicked up so you can see the profile, like at a bit of an angle, and then put all those on the wall behind me, and then have. So I'm sort of still playing around with how I want my, I guess, background / pain cave to have a bit of a look here, and
how to feel,
So whether I stick with the tops whether I cull that back and just have one or two.
Mm.
I'm still working that out.
Yeah,
Because
so it's a
that's
bit of
too that too is a bit of a motivational thing in terms of those 3D objects, and
yep.
to have the route name on there and perhaps the time that you've done it in or something like that is a bit of a reminder of what you've done it in, and an achievement, a sense of achievement for that as well. So I'm sort of thinking about that.
It sets that idea in your mind that you've got a basis for achievement. Like if you've done it before, there's a very good chance you can get out and do it again, and if not, maybe do it better. And that's the challenge, isn't it? So and what we're going to talk about today is that whole idea that you don't necessarily need to wait for that inspiration to kick in to make you do something, but just like you're doing, you take your past achievements, and you can put that out on display, regardless of whether it's just one sort of one medal that you got for just participating, or whether you've got some actual achievements, medals and first places and trophies and that kind of stuff. You can put it out there and remind yourself that it could have happened 20 years ago, but
I've got one of those on the back wall.
And that's the thing, it doesn't matter when you did it. It's just a reminder that you did do it, you can achieve it, and you can do it again. And that's what we're going to talk about today, which is motivation is not necessarily that that reliable driver of change. It's it's emotional, it's short-lived, and often it's tied to the idolization or that idea of ourselves that once was. Now the key is not to rely on the motivation, but to build the systems that work without it. And so we're gonna have a chat about that whole cycle of hype and crash. Now I've got some great stories about that. So that where you start out big, you burn out, you get guilty, and then you either stop doing it altogether, or you start it again and the same thing happens again. So you get those emotional highs. It doesn't equal the behavioral consistency that you need to try and make some real change. Look, so here's the example I've got. I know when I first started in Zwift, I got super into it. So this was just before COVID started, and started streaming and was doing really well. And then boom, I just hit this wall and just stopped, and so because I was running on without any kind of real habits or any kind of program, I just stopped big time. And Sharon had the same issue too. So when I got her into Zwift, and we were in lockdown together, we couldn't go out, couldn't get to the gym, couldn't do anything else really.
Yeah.
And so we got a trainer in, and I showed her, and she thought this was awesome. She was knocking out like 300, 350 Ks a week.
That's really massive numbers.
Stomping it and loving every minute. And then boom, she hit this brick wall and just stopped. And so it's that whole cycle of hype and crash. And I know a few other YouTubers that have gone through the same thing too. And so they've experienced the same thing. And is that something that you've gone through?
Certainly, like with the racing in Zwift as well. That was something, I guess, I got into that, and then having some success in that, I went from D grade to C grade reasonably quickly, and then you sort of struggle through C grade a little bit until you start to become successful on that, and then you're sort of getting that dopamine hit, the high from doing well in a race. And even if sometimes you don't do well as in podium, but you still do well relative to your team, and the accolades that you might get from your teammates in the chats afterwards and stuff like that is like a real buzz. Like, hey, hello, you had a great race. You stomped that hill, you did whatever this, or smashed that sprint, which probably wasn't me, but you get what I mean. So you had that real sort of buzz in that sense. So and that kept going and going and going, and then I guess for me, I got to B grade and was just getting smashed and hammered in that. Yeah. For a certain while, I took solace in the fact that I was able to hold my own in B grade. Like I wouldn't come last in a race and get absolutely belted.
Yep.
But I wasn't, coming up the sort of pointy end of the race.
And like you were in C
grade. Like I was in C grade, and I guess then it had to make a choice as to how much time and effort I wanted to commit to that. And so I either had to pour in more time and effort than I had, or something had to give. And I guess that's what my brick wall was like, okay, I'm not really enjoying it and getting that buzz out of it.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, okay. So I stopped racing for a while, and then got back into C grade for again because my numbers had dropped down. But then it was sort of like, I don't know. I was in the Commodores for a while there. They were still having in that team, and I didn't feel like I was justified to be in that team because my numbers were nowhere near where I wanted to be in that space. And so I thought, that's not fair on the other guys that are in there. So I pulled out of that team.
Yeah.
The chat side of things too, because it's like, that's, I think you've got to earn that position to be in that space.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that makes, well, that's how I feel. So
I agree
for me,
yeah. Yep.
So I pulled out of that, and I've just basically stepped out of racing as a whole, because for me that joy in a sense had gone.
Yep.
And I guess I need some sort of reevaluate where I'm going with that in terms of racing. So
yeah. Yep.
So that was my wall, I guess, was that in terms of.
No, and it's a hard thing too, isn't it? Like, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I remember you going into B grade thinking, I got quite jealous. Well, not quite jealous, but I was like, man, like, this is how good he is. He's smashing everyone in C grade. Now he's up in B grade. I'm still in C grade. I haven't been upgraded. It's like, oh man, I'm really, gosh.
You were missing out on so much.
Yeah, it's really, you were doing such a great job, but but then it crashes down, and that whole motivation to keep going just sort of stops, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about last week in terms of discipline and motivation. I think there's sort of two things there. Like, you can be disciplined to get out and get on the bike and do that and everything else, but then the motivation to actually put the work in and do a hard effort or whatever else is different to the discipline there.
Yeah.
I think the discipline is making the effort to get to point A, to start the exercise or to whatever that might be, and the motivation is what makes you then actually do the exercise to get to the end point.
Carries it through.
And
so
for me, that motivation had disappeared. Out of there.
Definitely not. Yeah, motivation isn't the starting point, is it? Like,
oh, for sure, no.
You've got to have that discipline to create the repeatable efforts to get that, and then you get the motivation, don't you?
Yeah, that's the reward. So that becomes then the motivation to do that. So for me, that was like being at the pointy end, the accolades and everything else. That was the motivation to go, okay, I had a good race, and then you do it again next time. And if I had a bad race and did really badly, then the discipline kicks in there, where it's enough to get me to the start line for the next race, then have another go for it.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it.
So yeah.
And that's what we found in the gym too. So, as I said, we talked last episode. Oh, by the way, just got to say 2 points. One, finally, I've been able to get to 70 kilos on the bench press now.
Ooh.
Which is, I've been battling, and I'll be honest, I'm not doing it well.
Do you have the bar so it slides that way, one ring comes off and they go that way and the other one comes off?
It's almost exactly like that. But the good news is I've got Sharon spotting me, and so we've been training on a particular exercise to help with pulling it up. So she's quite capable of helping me get up the weight. But so without having her behind me, it would be, I'd probably be in hospital. And the second one was that this ab workout. Now I do have a recording of this ab workout that we do, which is just insane. I finally Sharon has been for a couple of weeks, but I finally got the whole routine in under 9 minutes now, so we can do the whole routine. I think we started out doing it like in 14 or 15 minutes, and now it's under 9. So yeah, there's some good takeaways there, but yeah, it's that whole the repeatable habit. So Mondays and Wednesdays we've got locked in for gym, so that's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So we're doing that, and I can tell you, there's almost every time we go, one of us doesn't want to go.
Yep.
So there's that whole, I don't want to go, and you're looking for any excuse not to have to go. It's like, oh man, it's raining outside, but we're driving there, so it's okay. And then it's like, oh, I got home late from work. I've got something to do. And of course, the other person's like, no, you got to go. And they almost drag one of us along by the collar. And it reverses. So the next time we go, it's like Sharon saying, "Oh, she doesn't want to go," and like I'm pulling her along, going, "Yep, no, you're in this." And I think without that repeatable Monday and Wednesday, and then at least one day on the weekend, I think we would have just given it the flick. And so it's a really good example of how, you know, sticking to that routine is just gold. You know, even if you don't do it well, and you would know this too, like exactly with racing, even if you don't do it well, as long as, like you said, as long as you get to the start line, and then somehow you get across the line, don't you?
Yeah. It may be your best and it may be your worst, but you're there, and it's like, you know, if you were to front up at a park run, like you and Sharon, and you talk each other to get you from the house to the start line, and then once you're at the start line, you've got each other to, you know, to gee along whoever doesn't want to do it, but also now you've suddenly got all these other people there. It's like, well, now we're here and there's all these other people here. There becomes that little bit extra to push you out the door to do that effort as well. So, you know, if there was nobody there, they'd be like, we'll just do a quick walk and then we'll go back in the car.
We'll go get a coffee and then we'll go home. And like, it's exactly what happened this morning. So, had a mate of mine stay over last night, and we're going to go riding this morning. And I'll be honest, I haven't been out on the bike since I got back from Tasmania. So it's been like, you know, maybe 3 months, and only because it's been so cold here. Like, it's been like this morning was 2 degrees Celsius. And for our US friends, that's about 35 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was cold. And so we'll go out riding, bring your bike over, we'll head out and we'll do a local loop, and it'll be a bit of fun. And I was like, the next morning, like, oh man, I so don't want to go. But like, then he got up, and I'm like, oh, okay, well now I've got to get up. And then we had a great time. You know, it was like it was fine. It was cold, but it wasn't. You know, it was a good time. It was a good morning. So you know, we did about 40 k's. We did about 650 meters of climbing. You know, it was a punchy sort of a ride. So it was really good. Saw a whole bunch of kangaroos. So that's always a bit of fun. And but it's exactly that. So you know, I think what we're trying to say is that you don't sort of ask, you know, how can I get motivated? You sort of remove that need for motivation by you know, getting those habits, and some of those habits require other people to push you out the door. But you know, then you begin to string together, you know, 1 ride to 2 rides, 2 rides to 4 rides, you know, 3 gym sessions to 6 gym sessions, you know, 2 park runs to 5 park runs. Speaking of which, how's your calf?
My calf's pretty good. I went to the physio on Monday, and he goes, "Now, have you done the exercise?" And I said, "Yeah, I've been doing these calf raises and the things that he's been telling me to do." And he goes, "Okay, that's good," you know. And so he has a bit of, you know, massage and whatever else. And he got me to he goes, "I'll do this test," and he will just do like a 1-legged calf raise, and you've got to go to as many as you can do to your fatigue.
Till you stop.
Till I stop.
Okay.
And so I started off left leg first, and I got to 38.
Okay. Is that weighted or just freestanding?
No, just freestanding, body weight. Yep. And then so I did my right leg, which is my crook leg, and got to about 26 good ones, say. Okay. And then pushed through to about 33, 34 not so goodish ones.
But
and he goes, still doing it. And he goes, "Oh, that's pretty good. You know, if you're really good, you're sort of doing about 40. So you weren't far off that." And I'm like, "Yeah, thanks, mate. Okay, that's okay." And then, so we went through the rest of the thing. He gave me a couple of other exercises to do. And my next day, the back of my knees were absolutely caning.
They were cooked.
It took me 3 days to get over
it.
Those, it was brutal. But it's gone away, and I've managed to keep doing these exercises that he's got me doing. And I've got an appointment with him again on Tuesday.
Okay. Yep.
He's told me this week that I can get back on the bike and do a bit of riding. So by doing that, I've done like 3 climbs on the portal. And
well, I was going to ask, how's the portal climbing going?
Yeah, good.
Yep.
The last one, oh, Halcam. Halcam. Is that how you pronounce it?
I bet it
That
is.
is it is now. That was hard yakka. That
Yeah.
was
So
that
what's
was
what's what's the specs on that? What's the distance and the elevation there?
off the top of my head, it's about 12 to 14 meters, kilometers long, and about 1,000 meters of climbing.
Okay, so
So
significant.
think Ventop.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Ventop's 1,500, but sure, I'll give you that.
Yeah, or it felt like that. It took me about an hour and 30, say, I don't know,
Yep.
something like that. And
That's all right.
same sort of thing. I just thought I'd start that, and my motivation was obviously just to tick it off. I wasn't worried about my time up there. I
Yep.
wasn't
No,
worried about anything like that. For me, my goal was
just get
literally
it
to get on
done.
the bike and get from A to B. Didn't matter about the time. I just
Yep.
wanted to tick it off.
Yep.
The other motivation I've got on those is I've done all the climb portals
Yeah.
bar two, and I've done them all at 100%.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
So the
every climb
bias.
portal I've done, I've always done it as 100.
Yep.
So I haven't, done the hard option or the easy option, but I've always
Yep.
just
So
and I've
for those that maybe don't understand, so when it's at 100%, that's the same as it would be if you went outside and did it in real life.
should be
Yep.
yeah
Approximately. Yeah.
yeah, give or take a little bit, but yes.
Mate, that is
Um,
awesome.
so that was my motivation. I got through that.
Yep.
And my legs are feeling pretty good. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think that after Tuesday I'll be able to get on the road again in terms of running,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll probably have to do that a little bit more of a stoppy starty, like walk run type
Yeah.
of
Of
thing
course.
for a little
Yep.
while, which
Yep.
we talked about that anyway.
Yep.
So far it's looking pretty good. Hopefully,
Oh, that's awesome, mate. That's really good news.
yeah. So things are
Yeah.
on the improve.
Yeah. Well done. That's great. Yeah. No, my left calf, there's a love hate relationship with my left calf, and it doesn't hurt, but it doesn't do nearly enough work to justify being, helping me with riding and other things. So I
Yeah.
always struggle with my left. It's my Achilles heel, if you will. On something else though, by the way. So last week we talked about NMN and blood work,
I'm not
and
the
so
singer.
yeah, that's right. And I made a commitment to go and get a checkup. So I did that. Went and saw my doctor, my new doctor, because I really didn't have a doctor before, and thought, well, maybe I should have a doctor. So I've got a doctor now, and went along and basically explained, hey, look, this is what I want to do. I want to get a checkup, have poke and prod and open and close things, and I want to get some blood work. And he sort of asked me questions, what do you do? How often do you do it? And I, ride, I go to the gyms, etc., etc.
Yep.
I don't drink nearly as much as I used to. So he goes, oh, that's a good thing. And I explained the NMN and about getting a baseline for the bloods. So I've got a ticket to go and get that probably done next week at some point when I've got some time. And then I'll take a few days to come back and tell me what's good and what's not good. And hopefully there's no big issues, I want to say.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
You get that age where you go, oh, is there something that I maybe, don't want to know about right now? So we'll get that done. And I asked him about NMN, and he didn't know about it. Well, he really didn't know about it. And so I showed him some of the reels and the ads and stuff. He goes, oh yeah, okay, I got you. I see what it's about. And his only issue about why he didn't know about it was the fact that there's really no clear studies done on these sorts of things. And so there's so many of them. And because, no one's going to pay for a study to be done without it being biased in some way, they don't really have, clear understanding of what these things do. But he was just as interested as I was. So he wants to know about actual. He subscribed to the channel. So he goes, oh, yeah, what's your channel? I told him about the podcast. And he goes, oh, what's the channel? He goes, all right, yeah, done. I've subscribed to it. So shout out to him. And I'm going to get, when I go back, I'll record the session and get him to explain what he's seeing in my bloods. And then I'll talk about NNM a bit more. And then, he's kind of interested to see, how it's going to go. He goes, yeah, it's good that you're getting like a baseline done now. And then you kind of know where you're starting from. And then you can come back in 3 months or 6 months or whatever and get another test done,
Yeah.
and then sort of compare them. So it's like, yeah, that's the whole idea. So yeah,
That's awesome, because it'll be interesting to see too whether, I mean, that'll give you some real concrete in terms of hard numbers as to if something's actually changed or not changed.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
between those 2 points, it'll be interesting to see psychologically whether you feel that you notice any changes as well. So there's got to be 2 lots there. That's going to be really interesting to see, if that plays out like that, whether you think, oh, yeah, is this having an effect and you're feeling really good, and then your doctor stuff comes back and it's just like nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed, yeah. It's
all up here. Or it could be completely the opposite, where it's just like gone through the roof and supports what you're feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it could be the other way. That still could go up and you might not notice anything.
And still not notice anything. Yeah, exactly. Still struggling with everything I'm doing. Speaking of which, how's your experience been with it so far? So, I mean, another week? You still
another week down. And, I'd still say it's the same as like previously. Like, I just feel like I've got energy, but don't feel like it's like...
You're Superman.
Like I'm jumping out of a skin or anything. Like, just like... Yeah. But, I feel good. It feels good. I suppose I feel mentally. I feel good.
That's good.
Cognitively, it's. I mean, that's meant to. They say it's meant to improve your cognitive capabilities a little bit.
Okay.
Bit sharper, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I do.
See how it goes. Keep the experiment going.
I mean, I'm in holiday mode a bit at the moment, mate. So
well, that's right. You're on holidays, aren't you?
I am. So I've sort of slackened. I'm still doing it. I'm still taking them, but like mentally, I'm probably not working as hard as what I would be at the moment if I was at work. So it's a bit hard to judge.
Yeah, gotcha. That it'll be interesting to sort of again get handled. And by the way, we're not paid at all. This is just an interesting aspect of getting old, and so we're not being asked to talk about this at all.
No,
but it's look. I'll be honest as well. I've not had a physical checkup for like the last 6 years, and I turned 52 in September, so a couple of months thereabouts. And so I know that Sharon's been on my back about, oh man, you really should go and get a checkup and just make sure everything's okay. So that's also the driving reason behind doing it too. But I thought, this will work out as well. So we use it for a bit of show content.
And everything else was okay.
Like he asked me all the questions. Heart disease, diabetes,
blood pressure was all right.
Yeah, blood pressure was fine. This sounds so bad. For reasons I won't go into, I've actually got a very small portable blood pressure unit at my desk at work. And so every week or so I go, take the blood pressure and see how I'm going. I've been tracking it in my HealthMate app. So I kind of know exactly where I'm at. So he goes, I'm going to take your blood pressure. I said, I'll probably be about 120/80. He goes, he looked at me sideways. He went, no, I'll just take it anyway. Okay. So, and it turned to be like
close.
117/76. So I was pretty close.
Yeah.
And so that was a bit of fun. But yeah, everything else he goes, he's sort of poking the chest and, poking around and looking at my ankles and looking in my ears, and so he goes, no man, you're pretty, look, there's no issues, not yet anyway.
You're pretty fit for your age.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he said actually. He goes, look, you look pretty healthy, so it's like, I guess that's a good thing. So so then talked about the podcast and about these other things, and so he was a little bit interested, so we'll see how it goes.
So, I reckon that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm actually kind of interested. Oh. But here's the other thing, though. He goes, when was your last bowel cancer checkup? And I went, never. And he goes, but haven't you been getting the things in the mail where you got to do the thing and send it back? And I went, maybe. I possibly have. I don't know. I said, we moved house at the end of last year, and I use that as an excuse. I think we have received them, but I'm just not really interested in doing that. He goes, do it. Okay, I'll have to. And so he actually gave me the little sample things I've got to do to get the thing and put it back in and send it off. And so I've got that sitting out in the kitchen there. So I've got to
on the to-do list
get some poop samples.
Yeah, but that's not. They're not sitting on your kitchen bench full at the moment,
No,
waiting to go off.
no, not at all. Because
Oh, that's right.
and this is the weird thing. So we'll get off the tangent here. This is the weird thing. In my mind,
Mm.
I'd always sort of thought of it as you got like a little sample cup,
Yeah.
and you kind of got to scoop some of
Yeah.
it into the sample cup, and then you got to screw the lid on,
Yeah.
and you send that. But no, you don't. It's like earbuds. It's like a little earbud thing,
Right.
and you just roll it around in it a little bit,
Right.
and then you put that back in the little container, and then you put that back together, and that's it.
Oh.
So it's not
So it's
like
not like a COVID test where you got to stick it up there and go around for 15 seconds or something like
you
that.
just swish it around in it a little bit, and you get a bit on the end of the stick, and then you put it back in the little plastic container, and then you
there you
can
go.
give it back. So yeah, I don't know why I thought you had to get like a spoonful of it and put it into a container, but apparently you don't. So that's a good thing.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah.
Well, that might be something that's been. I must admit, I haven't done mine either.
There we go.
So,
See, I'm not alone, am I?
no, you're not alone, and there's probably lots of people who also haven't done that, and probably also have that same mental thing of like doing it. But they also expire.
Oh, right.
So the kits that you get in the mail,
Yeah.
because I had mine sitting on my desk for a while, and then it got buried under a heap of crap, and then I found it again. I thought I must do that, and I looked at it, and it's got like a use by date on it, and you've got to do it within the kits that you get in the post, and you've got to do it within a certain time. Yeah. Otherwise, they're no good, and you've got to basically get another one.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't mention that to me at all, so fair enough. And he goes, yeah. So I said, so how do I get it back to you? And he goes, oh, look, just come in. There's a container. You can just drop it into the container and just walk out. And I went, oh, okay, fair enough. So that's got to smell good. But so there's a container, throw it in there, and then
run.
Yeah, pretty much. Just look away and then you're all good. And then they'll do the test. And he goes, when we get the test results, I'll give you a call and let you know if you got bowel cancer, I guess, or not. So, yeah. Mm. But fingers crossed, all good.
Ah, you'll be right, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
you'll be fine.
You're making me laugh because that's the mentality I've got with everything. Oh, yeah, you'll be right. Yeah, look, if I don't do anything about it, it won't be an issue.
That's right.
Typical male.
It's not an issue till you know that's the problem.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and all of a sudden you go, what's this cramping feeling I got in my lower stomach? Oh, that can't be good.
Now you got an issue.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And then there's always the words like the doctor says, if only you came to us 3 months ago, we could have saved you. Now it's too late. So
yes.
There we go.
Anyway.
So let's get back into it. So
bringing us back on track.
So the science of habit building. Now this is interesting because I've been reading about this and doing a little bit more investigations into the habits that you need to install. So, it's not about just waiting for that spark of inspiration, that motivation. And this is backed up by what sort of Sharon and I were saying too, which is, you got to rely on, those cues, those routines. And as you said, Andrew, the reward as well. So, building a habit means engineering your life so that, your default behavior is the one that serves you. So that whole cue, routine, and then reward, getting up, out of bed, and I've made a new habit of being up at 5:30, and so no matter what happens or what I'm doing, 5:30 is the time I get out of bed. Now I'm going to use that time either on the bike to get the K's in, or I'm going to use that time to do some other projects that I've got sitting around that I'm just not doing anything with. So that's that whole. And then I think when I started this last week, it's like, okay, get out of bed at 5:30, and I end up sort of sitting around for 10 minutes going, just still trying to wake up. But then you're awake, and then you sort of, okay, well, I'm going to do this thing now, or I'll jump on the bike and I'll do a ride for 10 Ks. And at the very least, if it's 10 Ks, it's 10 Ks more than I would have gotten if I sat in bed.
That's right.
And then you end up doing 20 Ks, and so I ended up doing 50 Ks and got that out of the way. And then you sort of, by 7 o'clock, I was like, just like you were saying the other week, you're pumped, you're charged, you're feeling good about it, and you're going, bam, got that done. That's awesome.
Yeah. I did a couple of years ago, when I started getting sort of into my riding quite well. And I'd picked up, there was a training organisation here in Australia that you could join up, and that's, you could send them in your details of weight and height and all those sorts of things, and FTPs and blah, 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 and they'd sort of design a program for you.
Yep.
Depending on what your goal was. So if you wanted to do, a Grand Fondo of 100 Ks or 120K or whatever it is, and they would scale that over 12 weeks on how to build up to that thing. So I know you can get these for running and everything else, but for me, that structure works really well of creating those habits. If I know that then I had certain rides, and so mapped out for the week, I had to do hard one here, be an easy one, hard, whatever they were.
Yep.
And that was my week planned out. So that took that mental capacity, lessened that, because I knew I didn't have to plan it or try and organise it or try and work out some random Zwift workouts and hope they were good or anything else. I could just basically log in, do this workout, and know that that's tied up for me.
Yep.
And same scenario as what you've just talked about in terms of trying to fit that in with the family. I too had to get up at like 5 or 5:30 in the morning to be able to do that ride before everything else that happened during the day. And so it became quite routine in that, every day you got up at that time and you got into the habit of being up at that time. And you got that routine of knowing that you had a ride, or maybe it was a rest day or whatever it is.
Yep.
And that rest day, your reward was being maybe having extra hours to sleep in or something like that.
Yep. There's a reward.
And then that was your reward for doing the hard work for those few days. But that was for me, that was a great way of being able to get some structure and some habits.
Yep.
And I guess I had accountability there in terms of like this, it's a real guy that you could then go back to and get feedback on your performance and how you're tracking and things like that. So then you had some accountability of that as well, that you had somebody to answer to, that maybe wasn't your wife or whoever or your partner, but you had somebody as a coach that was helping you to get to those things.
Yeah.
So I think, those structured programs, if you can find those, whether it's a couch to 5Ks or some sort of things where it just steps you up in those small goals, it gives you something to aim for each week. You don't have to think about the structure of that or the planning of that if you don't know those things, because it's done all for you. And you have that. I think that's a great way of being able to do that. And like what you're doing, getting up at 5 a.m., getting into that habit of being able to do that each day, that's just stuff that, that's how you're setting yourself up, is in doing that. That's the discipline part of that.
Yeah, that's the success part, isn't it? And like you say, it's that compounding effect. So if you get up at 5:30, and even if you do what you might think is the bare minimum, it's way more than you would have done if you had like a maybe session, or you told yourself, I'll get up tomorrow morning, and then you sort of slipped in and you went, okay, well, I'll start that again. I'll get up the next day and I'll sleep in. But if you do get up and you do a 10-minute session, it's way more than you did if you didn't get up, And like we've always said this, you beat everyone on the couch,
that's right.
And that's the thing, isn't it? So I know that this is one of my tricks as well. So I definitely have made a conscious effort, and I used to do this too, to put my phone quite a distance, like over on the dresser, away from the bed.
Yeah.
So you can't, when the alarm goes off, you physically have to get up out of bed to go and turn the alarm off. You can't just roll over, hit the button and go, forget about it. Or I'll snooze it for another 9 minutes, and then, then I'll snooze it for another 9 minutes, and then it's too late. And what I've started to do now is I put my phone on top of the clothes I'm going to do, like put on. So whether it's my cycling kit or whether it's just the clothes I'm going to wear, so it's on top. So again, there's no excuse for me just putting the clothes on, and then you're kind of halfway out the door, and then
that's right.
Yeah.
And if you've got to jump out of bed quickly to go turn that off when it's halfway across the room, so you don't wake your partner up,
you don't want to do that.
There's that tiny little bit of adrenaline rush that wakes you up quick to get there, so you don't wake up the other person.
Yeah, exactly. So the heart rate's already kicked up a gear.
That's right.
And you just hope to hell that they're sleeping nicely and they're not going to hear that. And then what I normally do then is I just pick it all up and I go downstairs and get changed so that, I'm not going to bother her with turning lights on. So, but again, that's exactly it. And so, that whole repetition. So you start stringing a couple of those efforts together, and then, you've done a week, and then the week turns into 2 weeks, and then there's a month gone. And all of a sudden you start to see, some changes, you're getting stronger, you're lifting more, you're riding longer. And then, that just compounds into, success.
There's a rub-off effect on that too. So I noticed when I was doing that early morning stuff on the cycling, regardless of how quiet I was, or sometimes once you start to get into that habit of waking up, your body clock wakes up before the alarm goes off.
Yep.
And there'd be times where I'd actually wake up, turn the alarm off, and I'd be up and out of bed, and that wouldn't even have happened. Yeah. But Amanda would still wake up. There'd be times where she would still wake up. And so the rub-off effect would be, after a while, she then started getting up as well.
Oh, okay.
And she would get up and start to, and like sometimes I'd be out on the bike and I'd be gone, like in the back room or whatever. So I didn't know that she'd gotten up till I'd got back in. Yeah. And she goes, "Oh yeah, I couldn't sleep. I was awake, so I might as well get up and do something." So then she would get up and either do some work or do a little bit of exercise or take the dog for a walk around the block or something else, and then come back in there. So that it started to actually, without me trying to, wake her up, push her or anything else, there was just that little bit of a thing where it's like, oh shit, I'm awake now. Well, I may as well do something. And so,
get up, go and do
get something. Up. And so it might be interesting to see with Sharon.
Well, now that you say that, because Sharon has been doing an absolutely fantastic job of walking, so she's picked up walking as another form of exercise only because her trainer had issues, and so just hasn't been able to ride her bike like she normally would. And so she's been walking and actually really getting into it. So she's like, I think I might have mentioned a couple of episodes ago or even last episode when Sharon was there, 10,000 steps a day. And now she's trying to push it up to 15,000 steps. And now she's, because she works from home, she's starting to get, out of bed, not at 5:30 a.m. just yet, but getting out of bed and, at 7 and then sort of doing like an hour walk, before, because she starts work at 9, so she's got an hour up her sleeve. Whereas, and I think that might be, as you say, that whole knock-on effect of me getting up out of bed and I'm sort of already gone. And so there's no reason for her to be staying in bed, for too long other than to sleep. And she does love doing that. But, and so, you're right. I mean, that's something I didn't even think of, that whole knock-on effect of other people benefiting from what you're doing. And then sort of, leveraging that to go, well, I'm up now or I'm awake now, I might as well get up and do something. And I think it's always that thing as well, when you see other people around you doing these things, you're more inclined to go, maybe I should do something too.
We were in the car on the way to basketball today, and she turned to me and she said, "Oh, now you're going to continue running." And
so what's the commitment?
I don't know.
Maybe.
See what the physio says on Tuesday. And then I said, "Why is that?" And she goes, "Oh, because, I'd like to try and, do something as well."
Yeah, okay.
And I've gone, "Well, you should come to," I said, "Okay, if I keep doing this," I said, "come down to the park run on a Saturday morning." And I said, I still actually haven't done that officially, but I said, we could do that.
Yeah.
I said, and you could just walk the loop.
Yeah.
And just start off doing the same, as we've talked about, just do that. And then if you want to virtually get up to the point where you can run, then that could be your starting point. It doesn't matter how long. And so, if she's keen to do that, then I'll probably persist with my running for a little bit longer if that's what it, if that would help her as well. And and help to provide her with a bit of motivation, I guess. And it also supports me in that, same as it is for you guys.
Yeah.
And there's going to be days where we've got kids sport on Saturday morning, which might not line up, and we might have to. So we'll have to. Maybe then we go, okay, well, we'll miss the park run, but we'll do that loop by ourselves on Sunday morning or something like that.
Yeah, good call.
So we'll try and hold ourselves accountable in terms of at least doing it every weekend, but then doing that around like that. So we'll see how we go. But so I think there's some of that sort of fitness stuff is starting to rub off a bit.
It does, doesn't it? And it doesn't have to be, if you don't have a partner, or if you don't, if you're not, you have a wife or a husband that you can rope into doing this kind of thing. I mean, I used to on Zwift, you'd organise a meetup with some friends.
Yeah.
And so I'd organise a meetup, and because you've organised the meetup, you feel obligated to actually be there at the meetup. And then I think it's the same thing. If you've accepted someone else's meetup to go and do a ride together, you feel obligated to actually turn up. And so there's been a lot of mornings there where if it hadn't been for that, there's no way I would have done a ride.
Yeah.
But, having that accountability, and as you say, having, Amanda there, you feel like, okay, well, we've made that commitment. Let's get along and do it. And then that motivation comes afterwards, doesn't it? Because then she's going to start feeling good. You kind of feel good. You've had a positive experience together. And then hopefully you're going to, you'll come back and do it again. And I'm sure that Amanda's like Sharon, and she's competitive, and she wants to try and do it faster or better the next time. And, that's how you improve. That's the success story.
Well, that's exactly right. And, even if you're walking the park run or you're cycling a small distance, it might be your commute to work.
Yep.
If you're just doing that day in, day out, you're going to get, if you're, time wise, you will see some improvements in that. If you don't, even if it's the same time in terms of your physical well-being, in terms of being able to breathe better and have a better heart rate and all those sort of things.
Yep.
Your muscular fitness in your legs, if you're running and whatnot, they're all going to be improving on those small things, whether that be your walks or that be your riding. It's just a matter of having that and then doing that.
Yeah.
And then, you'll see that coming, the benefits if you stick with that.
Yeah. And it doesn't take long. Like, it really only takes about 3 or 4 days of stringing a couple of those sessions together, or 3 or 4 times, before you notice, actually, this isn't as hard as it first was. Like, even between my first park run and the second park run, I mean, I increased it by reduced the amount of time it took by 5 minutes. And I'm not out there specifically training to run, but you do get that improvement. I'm doing obviously gym work and stuff in the meantime. So, but you do see that improvement. So now I'm much more keen to go back and do another park run now, because I now want to see if I can get it in under 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then.
So there's your motivation. It's just that little time thing each week. And you don't have to, if you were to break that down to go from one to the other, and you that time difference to get to 30 minutes, and say you're at 34 at the moment,
yep,
or 35. So, you only have to shave off so many seconds off each kilometre to be able to get to those goals that you're wanting to get to. And they're not massive things. So, we talked about small reward, small goals, and that would be it. Like, you would have on your watch, I don't know whether yours does it, but it will come up with your time per each kilometre. Like, it will come out. Mine does a kilometre check-in. Your splits. And now you run your first K or walk your first K, and you look at your split, and knowing that that's your first small goal right there of your thing. So don't look at your whole 30 minutes. You're breaking it down into
small, achievable,
small goals. Yeah. And that's what you're just breaking into something to achieve.
And it really does make a difference. I've got to say, it really does make a difference. And so, So, I mean, some things I've got written down here, like, rather than saying, I want to ride more, you can turn around and say, I'm a cyclist, I show up, So I think the trick is to align your actions, with who you believe you're becoming. And so if rather than sort of, saying, I just want to get stronger, I lift weights. I go to the gym. So you're aligning yourself with who you want to become, rather than sort of simply saying, I kind of want to get fit. That doesn't really help. And so I'm not lazy. I'm unstructured, and that's easy to change. This is hard. Rather than saying that, you can say, this is where I build or I rebuild. And I don't negotiate with myself. And so now I love how that sounds. Because I still do a bit of negotiating in my head. But like, even the riding, I'll simply, like, I was riding the other morning, like up at 5:30, I'm on the bike by 5:40, and I'm riding, and I'm just cruising with Coco. And for some reason, it seemed a lot harder. I'm much more used to riding at night, and so maybe my body wasn't sort of up to speed by at 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I remember saying to myself, and I set these. It's like the same with the park run. I'll ride for 10Ks, and then if it's still hard, I'll I'll reduce it, and at least I've done 10Ks. It's reasonable. And then I
Yep.
got to 10Ks, and I went, all right, I'll ride to 15Ks. If it's still hard, then that's not bad, you know. And then, okay, I got to 15Ks, and so I got to 20Ks, and then end up doing one lap. And I went, okay, I'll do another lap. And if I can get that done. So there was all these micro, little goals that I set for myself just whilst I was riding. And then I, eventually got it done. And I got to 50Ks, and I went, look, if I do an extra 2Ks, I can clock out the 100 for half the week. And I went, okay, well, I'll just do an extra 2Ks. And then, you kind of get it done, And so, as you say, Andrew, you break up those small little achievable goals, those little achievable steps, and then, you just get it done.
Yeah. I mean, I've got the same thing. I'm doing a ride tomorrow with a mate.
Yep.
And
indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors.
Yep.
And it's going to be a little bit blowy and a bit fresh, I think, in the morning. But
same
thing. Like that's my, that is the discipline in terms of, and the commitment. Now I've made the commitment to him.
Yeah.
I've actually got to get up and do this.
You've got to turn up.
So I've got to turn up. So before I've already been out, pumped up the tyres, which are half flat on the bike, and charged up the lights and all that sort of stuff. So I do all those things. So I've got no excuse to get up in the morning and the equipment's not ready. That'll be there.
Yep.
And then before I go to bed, I do the same thing: lay out all my gear, get all that ready, stick it in a pile on the floor.
Yep.
So that it's easy to get to, a bit like you with putting your alarm clock or your phone.
Yeah, set the phone on.
Sorry, on your stuff.
Yeah.
So I get up, grab my stuff, and then basically get going.
Yeah.
But I really, for me, the riding, like I do with a mate, we go down end up doing about 50K for the day, which, given the fact that I haven't done much for a while, it'll be
that's a big effort.
It's a bit of a struggle.
Yep.
And certainly on the way home, our way home's uphill. We go downhill on the way out. So that's
okay.
smart,
So you got the
smart thinking.
up. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. But in terms of mental, and we haven't talked about this in any of our episodes yet, but social riding in terms of a mental release too, I think is a great thing to do.
Mm. Yeah.
And being able to have, I know, especially in terms of, we males tend to not talk about things very often and things like that.
No, we do not.
So having a good mate that you do go riding with, or that you can confide things with, or whatever it is, or even if it's just we got this thing called BMW at the moment.
Okay, what's that?
Which stands for bitch, moan, and whine. So we go. It's good, isn't it? BMW, great. Bitch, moan, and whine. And so having that person to be able to have a bitch, moan, and whine, and he's just happens to be a fellow teacher, so the understanding of what is there, and so I can have a crap week, and as we're riding along, just all the shit, you get it all off your chest or whatever. And at the end of the day, after that ride, you feel so much better for that physically and mentally, for being able to unload all that, and he does the same.
Yep.
Unload all that baggage, and you come back, and then it's a great way of getting rid of all that stuff, and then going to work on Monday, and you're feeling in a really good space for that.
Yeah, good point. Because you just get to unload that, don't you? Sort of that baggage that's been, you've been hanging around for the last week or whatever, how long, and then you sort of get to just, and even if someone's really going and just listening, they don't have to offer any sort of advice. They don't have to give you any counseling. Just listen. Just go, yep, that sounds pretty crap, or yep, that sounds pretty good. Yep, that's awesome.
Yep, and it's not your partner that's having to put up with that.
Yeah. Which
I think sometimes is a good thing too.
Yeah, just to have that, little sanity check that outside of your little bubble, not crazy. It's just the regular stuff that people go through.
Yeah.
No, for sure. So let's, what time? Yeah, okay. So really quickly, I had we're going to talk about, don't rise to the level of our goals, because we fall to the level of our systems. What we really want to do is talk about that, that hype to habit, those abilities to the non-negotiables that keep you going. And as I said, I've talked about, Mondays and Wednesdays are gym, almost certainly. Like there's no discussion about that. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays are riding, and there's usually no discussion about that. And then Fridays, like you said, there's the reward day. We get that day off. And then Saturday and Sunday is, there's a bit of mix and a bit of, whatever's happening with family stuff, with, taking kids to sport, with, catching up with friends and things. So you work around that. But yeah, those two, I guess, those two habits are, Mondays and Wednesdays, gym, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays, riding. And as Sharon and I have said, and as we'll talk about just today, even if it's a bad session, it's still way better than the session that you don't do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and like you're saying, even if the ride is going to be, an average ride, it's still way better than the ride that you don't do. So that's all, that's about it. That's about all you have to do is just get that pattern, and then the enthusiasm comes after that, and then the motivation comes after that.
For sure. It's exactly right. I mean, I've actually been trying to think about how I'm going to structure that, a bit like yourself in terms of, if I want to keep the running thing going and work on that and still keep, the cycling thing ticking along, is then how do I fit all of that in? And for me, evenings are pretty diabolical sometimes.
Oh, I bet. It's tough for family and kids and stuff, yeah.
That's right. It's just busy times. And even when we were doing Zwift racing, Amanda sort of didn't really say anything to me, but sometimes when I'm heading out, like I got all my gear and I'm stepping out the door and she's cooking dinner and she's like, "Where are you going?" And I've got, "Yeah, I've got racing going on." And she's just like, and that's, there's nothing else said, but that, there's the tone that it, what that really meant.
Yep.
And so, yeah. So for me, like, I've been thinking the same sort of thing about trying to get up early, do my rides in the morning, even if that is just that, an hour and do 20 or 30K or whatever that is.
Yeah, that's
and then we normally have, for me, I have staff meetings on a Tuesday afternoon and a Wednesday afternoon. But then I'm free like Monday afternoon, what is that, Thursday afternoon.
Yep.
And so if I was to do like 3 runs a week, that almost sort of falls in a nice stagger, Monday, Thursday, and the park run on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So you're almost doing a run and then you rest and you're doing your thing.
Yep.
And for me to pack a bag, which this will be the discipline part, pack a bag, put my runners in it, pair of shorts and my thingo, take that to work.
Yeah.
And then get changed there. And there's, because the park run is literally on the back of the school oval.
Just behind you, is it?
It is right behind the school. So I could literally walk out of my office, walk across the oval, and I'm on the park run course.
Yep.
So, it's not a hard, I don't have to drive, I don't have to do anything to get there. That's the discipline it's going to take, is for me to be able to pack the bag, get it there and do that. And then once I'm out there, away you go. That's,
And that's perfect, because, what I've got written here is that, choose that one habit. So like you're saying, you pack the bag and then you get to school. And so you anchor that with an existing cue. You do that after school. So you've got really no excuse. You got your gear there. After school, you've got that time and you go and do it. And then you create a small reward that reinforces that, And so, whatever that reward might be, it might be that you have something, an extra drink, you have it, some chocolate or whatever it might be. You staple another Lycra top to the back of the wall.
Maybe. We'll see where it goes.
And then you can track it visually. Now, once you start doing that, then you can reinforce that identity each day. And that's the great thing. So in that listener worksheet that we've got in a link to the description of this video, that has all of that there. So you can actually got a 7-day plan tracker to track all that. So you can actually write it down. Excuse me. Croaky throat. You can write all that down too. And so once you start doing that, then you begin to get that whole habit into play, and then it becomes easy.
It does.
Too easy, almost.
Yeah, you just got to get the start going. Like you
Yeah.
say, if you can string a few events together,
Yep.
or not events, but a few runs or walks or whatever it is,
Yep.
few efforts together, you'd be amazed at how you can quickly start to get that routine starting to happen. But it's certainly, it does take a bit of hard work and a bit of effort.
And discipline, yeah, for sure.
And discipline. You got to make that start and try to the stickability to get the first one done.
Yep.
And like we've got there, to miss one day is human. You might have something out of your control. There might be, I don't know, your car can't start, or there's an emergency or whatever.
Sick.
That's But if you start to miss more than that, it becomes a pattern. Then that's when you got to sort of start. Pull yourself up, talk to yourself, and go, hey, we need to reassess what we're doing here and start again.
Because it's easy to string a couple of missed times together, and then it's like, then you sort of fall into that pattern, and then you're back to square one. So have a look at that worksheet. The link is in the description below. It's free. It's just a Word document, and there's a PDF document there too, whichever is easier. Download it, have a look at it, fill it in. We would be absolutely over the moon if you could drop us a comment in either the comment section of this video or come across to our Discord channel and let us know if that's something that it works for you, and whatever sort of comments you've got. But look, if you're tired of starting over, you got to stop relying on the hype. You need to build a system that outlasts your feelings, basically. So you're not broken. You're just waiting for motivation, and what you really need is that momentum that we've been discussing. So let today be that day that changes, not because you're inspired, but because you've installed that new loop, you've installed a new habit that's gonna work. Now, in next week's episode, it's gonna be raw and powerful. The pain cave is a portal. The pain cave is a portal. I like that. Suffering is not the enemy. But it's the price of real transformation. So you won't want to miss next week's episode. But make sure you've subscribed to the Lycra Conspiracy wherever you're listening. Leave a review. It really helps us grow what we're trying to do here. And if you're done with shortcuts and you're ready for the long game, this is it. So thanks for riding with us. Keep pedaling forward and keep building that habit, not the hype. All right, Andrew, mate, another great episode.
Thanks, mate.
I'll leave you.
Pleasure as always.
And we'll catch you in the next episode.